I didn't think we would actually make it this far, ladies and gentlemen. But we did. Here we are at last. The final episode of Law Week. Just go to the intro. It's so awesome.
You betray the law! Law!
Freaking light. Day 7. You can cut away now. I know you're gonna do it at some point, so might as well just cut away. Right now. Oh, I get it. It's not funny unless I'm in the middle of a sentence. Okay, I have to be in the middle of a moment of actual thought to cut away for me. That's when it's funny. Okay. Welcome to day 7 of Law Week, everyone. We've been on a long journey. I've had a lot of thoughts and introspectives on this whole thing, none of which you've even gotten to hear from me because he's always cut away. And right now, this is when you do it. Right? Are you going with the irony of the fact that you're gonna go through 6 days of this, and then finally on the last day, you give me a chance to actually speak my mind? Okay, fine, whatever, sure. Okay, so what? No? All right. Law is an amazing character. He's a character that's been through a lot of shit through his past, and literally, you know, it's different because he's very much like a Straw Hat in that regard, because a lot of people in One Piece have really messed up backstories. Law's backstory, though, it rivals, if not succeeds, in triumphing over a lot of the Straw Hat's backstories in terms of sadness. I know that's a weird way to phrase that. Triumphing over sadness. But no, seriously, it does. Literally, he had a loving mother, a loving father, he had a sister, everything was happy. You know, he was kind of the weird kid in class, but everything was going good for him. And then because of the government, not because of like an invading pirate group or whatever, no, it was because of the world government not telling the people of Flevance they were literally mining poison. And like, not even just regular poison that you just have and it just kills you. No, poison that takes like several successive generations to not only kill you, but also your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, all at once, okay? So the government lets them mine that for literally dozens of years and decades, and then finally, when it finally afflicts the town and everybody starts dropping dead, the government then has the gall to say that it's an epidemic, it's a virus, it spreads like a plague, you know, get away from everybody from them. So even if somebody were to manage to survive Flevance and get out, they are now essentially a pariah in the entire world, right? Where everyone that sees them is gonna wanna burn them, okay? So that was Law's backstory, and then he gets into league with Doflamingo, and he could have easily, I saw one of those videos this week where he talked about Law going evil. Honestly, he could have. There could have been a point where he could have turned and went evil, but he didn't. He stayed true to his morals, he stayed true to his Hippocratic oath as a doctor that his parents instilled in him, and he wanted to help people by becoming a pirate. So I guess he could have just went off and been a regular doctor, but he had to be a pirate, you know, for circumstances notwithstanding, he had to be a pirate essentially. But he was a doctor pirate, okay? And you know, there are probably plenty of times where maybe Law's group was on an island doing their piratey deeds, and if Law saw a little kid on the side of the road crying and sad and sick, Law would have stopped and helped that kid, okay? You know that probably happened at a lot of different points throughout Law's life, okay? Tried his best to save people while still being a criminal in the world government's eyes, okay? Law is an amazing character, and yes, he has the cool factor. He's got the goatee, he's got the hat, he's got a cursed sword with crosses on it. It's cool, of course. But Law himself, you know, there's a lot more to his character than that. And even though I wasn't able to really share my thoughts this week, I'm glad, I really am, that we were able to focus an entire week on this channel dedicated to one of the greatest pirates that's ever sailed the 7 seas, Trafalgar D, Watcher Law. I hope he doesn't die. I hope he never performs the Eternal Youth operation. I hope he lives to the end of the story, into the ripe old age of 97 or whatever. All right, now you can take it away. There you go. Come on, everybody. Come on. Standing ovation, everybody. Woo! Law Tekking! Yeah! Okay, so, all right. How would it be just if I just end Law Week with just like, all right, everybody, well, that was the video. I ran out of ideas, got nothing else left. See ya, everyone. No, I do have an idea, and it's the best idea. It's the future of law. Oh, yeah. And this actually came at a perfect time. So I'm filming all of these out of order, although this is the last episode of Law Week that I am filming, like, chronologically, and also, like, it is the last one I'm filming. And so this is right after Chapter 1053 dropped. It just dropped, like, a couple days ago, okay, that I'm recording this right now. So we could talk about, like, what's going to happen. Also, you know, when I was planning this trip, I didn't know there was going to be a month break of One Piece, so this really just clicks together perfectly, all right? So a little bit of spoilers here, but Chapter 1053, we have the bounties of Law, Kid, and Luffy all set at 3 billion. They are still in Wano as of the break. Green Bull has arrived. He's heading toward the flower capital. Law, the last time we saw him, he actually stayed behind at the Tokage port. He was there overseeing the construction, like they're fixing up all the ships and the polar tang and everything. And they find out the new bounties, and Apu is there. And then Kid ran off to the flower capital to go fight Luffy. And Law stayed behind, and he's just like, things are getting difficult, it seems. Okay, and that's the last time we saw of him as of the recording of this video, okay? So what awaits Law in the future? Well, I have a few ideas here. First and foremost, we now have a situation where these three that used to be part of an alliance that really sort of didn't get along, but they did get along, now have all the same bounty, and you know, Luffy is considered an emperor. So I can imagine Law and Kid are going to feel a little bit of jealousy toward Luffy for that. Like, we all have the same exact bounty. How come he gets to be an emperor and we don't? Now, Kid took the direct approach. You know, he just went to go fight Luffy directly. Law, on the other hand, I don't think he would do that. I don't think Luffy is, like, going to be on, like, his hit list or something. Law is going to be like, well, I guess I have to eliminate you, Straw Hat. What I think this is going to result in, and I don't know how exactly it's going to go with Green Bull there and how Wano is going to conclude and how the Straw Hats and the Kid Pirates and the Heart Pirates are all going to leave the island, but I think it's going to culminate down to a race to Laugh Tale. They are all going to realize kind of at the same moment that it's like, all right, Luffy, you're the emperor, but the world is a-changing, and it can go in any direction. Like, literally, the sky is the limit. Quite literally. There are literally sky islands in One Piece. Literally. Yes, literally. So, he's like, tell you what, we're just going to all go race to Laugh Tale now. Our alliance was fun while it lasted. It is going to be weird not seeing Law around all the time because, you know, he was part of the Straw Hats essentially traveling with them since Punk Hazard. You know, Punk Hazard, Dressrosa, Zoe, Totland, we took a little break, but then Wano right there's Law hanging out. So it's going to be a little weird getting back to, like, the status quo, and I think that'll also be really good for the story in general to kind of reset. That's why I really hope we go to Elbaf. So we have at least one more arc where it's just the Straw Hats, okay? It's nobody else that's, like, tagging along with them or anything. It's just the Straw Hats, their new members, Jinbei and Yamato as well, landing on Elbaf and just having that adventure, okay? And then after that, we can move on to the Laugh Tale stuff, okay? But I could see all of them departing, maybe not on great terms. Like, I don't think they're all gonna, like, shake hands or anything like that. Law and Luffy might. Kid probably wouldn't. But sort of like, okay, listen, here's the deal. First one to Laugh Tale gets the One Piece. It's a race now. And then Luffy, of course, would have it no other way. And he's like, absolutely, wish you the best, but I'm going to win. And Law's like, hey, don't get too confident now. And then Kid will be in the background like, I'm going to beat you both. And it's just like, that's how it's going to go. And so the Heart Pirates depart in their submarine, and that's how it goes, okay? We might even actually get, if we do an Elbaf arc, Oda might actually do a cover series based around Law. Let's say there is an Elbaf arc and it only lasts, like, maybe not super long, maybe 50 chapters, something like that. If that's the case, then maybe 40, 50. Maybe we can have a little mini cover series, kind of like when the Straw Hats were separated. We only got, like, 2 chapters for each of them to see where they were at in the world. You know, like, Frankie got sent to Baltimore, Robin got sent to Tequila Wolf. You know, we got, like, 2 chapters to see what they were doing. We might get something like that, where while the Straw Hats are on Elbaf, we see, oh, this is what Law's crew is getting up to in this part of the Grand Line, and this is what Kid's doing, you know, and that's who they ran
into. Maybe it'll be all the not the warlords, the supernovas, the worst generation. Maybe we'll see like 2 cover pages for each one to see where they're at. Also, that was very similar to the way the Straw Hat Grin Fleet's cover page was handled, okay? So, with that being said, though, what is the ultimate goal of Law at this point in the story? Like, what do you think he wants? Remember back at the Sabaody Archipelago when we first got to meet the supernovas, okay? Shockey was the one that was, like, explaining all of them to Luffy in the bar. You know, like, this is Eustace Captain Kidd. He has a higher bounty than you because he, you know, kills innocent civilians and stuff like that. Here's Capone Beiji, and he's a mafia boss from the West. You know, here's Jory Bonnie. She eats a lot of food, and she's from the South, you know? And so we're going down this list, and it was assumed that all the members of the worst generation, well, I guess just the supernovas or the super rookies at the time, wanted to all find the One Piece. They all set out to the Grand Line to find the One Piece, and they all made it to Sabaody Archipelago, okay? Now, I would argue that most pirate crews' ultimate goal is to find the One Piece because it's like that ultimate treasure at like the finish line. But I imagine a lot of them, you know, they make a lot of side trips, they deviate along the way, and there might be stuff that they are looking for, you know, more focused on. Like, look at Buggy. Buggy never really even bothered to look for the One Piece, maybe because he was part of Roger's crew, and he's like, I'm not even going to be able to get close to that. Instead, Buggy focused on Captain John's treasure, all right? And then, of course, look at all the different goals and the dreams of the Straw Hats. Luffy's ultimate goal is to find Laugh-Tale, become king of the pirates, which would mean he would have to find the One Piece. Of course, the Straw Hats all believe in Luffy's dream, and they want to help him as much as they can, but they all have their separate dreams. You know, Nami wants to draw a map of the world, Chopper wants to be a great doctor, Robin wants to learn about the Void Century and therefore find the Rio Poneglyphs. And right there, I think we have a connection to Law. Law is essentially following through with what Corazon told him and Corazon taught him, okay? He taught him about how it was like, hey, Law, you have the Will of D in your name. Make sure to not say that to other people. I know the Clan of D are the enemies of gods, and you shouldn't discuss that with people, all right? You know, there's like a mystery involving that. And Corazon, I believe, even told Law, like, don't really try to learn more about it or anything. And when Law asked Sengoku about it at Dressrosa, you know, he's like, you know, what's with the D? You used to be the fleet admiral of the damn Marines. I know you know something about this. And Sengoku didn't answer. Well, he didn't give any answer, like, meaningful. He basically just turned around and said, listen, if you think the fact that you have the D in your name is like, that's the reason Corazon cared about you, that's the reason Roshinade died for you, just get that out of your mind right now, because that wasn't the reason, okay? He genuinely loved you like a little brother, okay? So that's the reason he did that. That's the reason he saved you or tried to save you, got the op-op fruit or whatever. You know, the Will of D is irrelevant to this conversation, and then Sengoku kind of just walked away. And so just leave it at that. Which was a good way. I mean, I like that conversation. I was a little bit mad at Sengoku because, like, grr, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Just tell us what the Will of D is. But he's like, no, that's not what this is about, all right? This is not what it's about, because Corazon was basically Sengoku's, like, adopted son. So it's like, no, he didn't, you know, it's not because you had the Will of D in your name or whatever, okay? So if we're looking at Luffy trying to find the One Piece, that's his main focus. And if we're looking at Robin trying to learn in general everything about the Void Century, the Blank Century from the Rio Poneglyphs, I think I can look at Law's goal ultimately to learn specifically about the history of the Clan of D. Now, of course, that's going to tie into the Void Century, just inherently. You can't learn about one without learning about the other, and of course, all that information is closely guarded. Pretty much the only place you could get it is the Rio Poneglyph. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like, I could see, honestly, the Heart Pirates arriving at Laugh-Tale. They might even beat the Straw Hats there, but then it's like, oh shit, we can't read Poneglyphs. You know, Beppo, can you read Poneglyphs? Well, Captain, I'll give it a try. It says here that the squiggle met the other squiggle, and they went out to the squiggle dance, and they ended up getting married. Just like, all right, Beppo, that's the information we needed to know. And just like, and that was, turns out it actually was. No, so, you know, if Law shows up there, and he's looking at the poneglyphs and everything, he's just like, all right, we made it to Laugh-Tale, here's everything I need to know. They're still going to need Robin's help with this, okay? In order for Law to learn about what Corazon wanted to, you know, keep secret from him, and Law even said this at Onigashima when he found the poneglyph in the basement. He was like, I'm sorry, Corazon. I need to know. I know that you told me not to dig deeper into this. You told me just to leave it as it was, but I need to find out what's going on here with the Will of D. All right, and so since also Law has the Will of D, Luffy has the Will of D, Kid doesn't, from what we understand, I could see it being the Straw Hats plus the Heart Pirates there, wherever the Rio Poneglyph is, and when I'm assuming it's going to be Robin that's going to recite the ancient history. So we're going to have a moment where Robin has the Rio Poneglyphs all in front of her, or she compiles all the information she gathered over the years of all of her travels, and she's like, this is it right here, the full story, and then she's going to launch into the flashback involving the Void Century, and Law's going to be there and he's going to hear it too. I feel like that has to happen with Law's character at some point, okay? So I think that's his ultimate goal. Now, moving on to a more battle-oriented section of this, who would you like Law's last opponent in the story to be? That's a question, okay? Obviously, we know the Straw Hats are going to go up against the Blackbeard Pirates. Now, there's some debate out there of whether or not, like, that's going to be their last opponents, like Luffy versus Blackbeard, that's going to be it. People have thrown Shanks in there, like, oh, well, no, Luffy's going to fight Shanks after it, like, at the final moment of the story. Maybe not in an actual fight, but maybe, like, in a Davy back or something. Might be a situation where maybe Blackbeard kills Shanks and then Luffy has to avenge him. You know, there's a lot of, you know, theories abound here where Shanks is going to fit into these final sagas, this final arc of One Piece, you know what I mean? So I was looking at the options here, and I'm thinking, you know, okay, first person that came to mind was Kid. All right, Law and Kid just get into an actual fight, okay? Because that was sort of implied, sort of set up, you know, when they were fighting against Big Mom. They really didn't want to tip their hands to each other. They didn't really want to showcase strongest moves right at the offset because they knew at some point they are rivals and they probably would fight at some point. I don't know if that would be like Law's final battle in the story, period, but I would say that I would want to see that. I would want to see Law and Eustace Kid fight full on 100% and see who would win. In that regard, I'm still honestly giving the edge to Law just because I think he can do, I mean, Kid can do a lot of crazy shit with the Jiki no Mi, right? He can make robots and he can control metal and magnetic forces and make a rail gun, but at the end of the day, I think Law's just has more applications. They're also, I think, because they had to showcase those moves during Big Mom, during the fight with Big Mom, no, Big Mom, during Big Mom. Big Mom is a location now, all right? But because Law had to use his K room and his R room during that fight and the anesthesia, and Kid knows about that, and likewise Kid had to use his railgun and everything like that, you know, Punk, the damned Punk against her, and like the Clash attack and everything, the Assign. I think they're going to be working more than ever on their new moves, because it's like, okay, Kid is like, all right, I'm not going to let Trafalgar, you know, get one up on me when we finally fight, all right? I got to develop some new moves that he hasn't seen before, you know, and Law's going to do the same thing. Law's going to be like, all right, I have my regular room, and I have my K room, and I have my R room. It's time to make the Z room. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to come up with some new rooms, some new techniques, because they definitely still have room to grow, okay? So I think they will fight. I don't know if it'll be a fight to the death, but it will be a fight, and I think Law will come out victorious. Beyond Kid, I just thought, you know, we've never really seen Luffy and Law in a serious bout, you know? Like, I think they fought very briefly at Punk Hazard, if that, but that wasn't really much of anything. It was just kind of like, you know, it's like, oh, give me the test of your metal. In fact, I don't even know if they did that much. I'm remembering a little bit, maybe there was like a brief clash, or maybe Law tried to attack Luffy just to kind of get his metal, just like how strong he is or how strong he's gotten in the time skip, but I don't even know if that happened. But I would love to see a straight-up fight between Law and Luffy. Okay, because you're talking polar opposites here. You're talking about Law, who's like a tactical genius, really thinks things through, has these very complex, intricate attacks that involve using the Oppi no Mi, the different rooms and everything like that, surgical terms. And then you have Luffy over here, who's a damn cartoon character, basically, now, right? Like Gear Fifth, you know, going into Sun God form, bouncing around, turning everything into rubber. You know, like Law is using this really cool technique, like, you know, radio knife, and then Luffy just grabs his sword and then bends it like a damn, you know, bendy straw or like whatever, and he's like a pipe cleaner, and he's like, ha ha ha, that's funny, that tickles, you know? Luffy's like, you know, Law's using gamma knife, and Luffy's like grabbing this condensed knife of radiation and bending it to his will, turning it into a balloon animal and throwing it back at Law. That would actually be a crazy fight to see. Once again, not to the death, but a crazy fight to see, and I would love to witness that. let's see. I also threw in some, okay, I'm looking at the Admirals here, and like, which Admiral would you like to see Law fight against? And out of all the Admirals, I think the only one that really Law had like a meeting with, like a moment with, that would make sense so far would be Isho, would be Fujitora, because they had that encounter on Greenbit, okay? He hasn't met Green Bull yet, never really encountered Kizaru at Sabaody, no, not really, and never really encountered Akainu either, because, you know, he kind of, well, you know, he was there at Marineford, but he kind of just showed up, grabbed Luffy, and then just skipped out, you know what I mean? So, out of all of the Admirals, considering Fujitora can manipulate gravity, and Law can also use that with tact and his shambles and room and everything like that, that would actually be a really fun fight. And I was like thinking about it more and more, and I'm thinking, you know what? If none of these other fights happen, like if Law never fights Luffy or Kid, I could honestly see Law going up against Isho in a full-on fight. And the first thing Isho does is he uses a gravity power to like push Law to the ground or something, and then Law opens up his room and then uses tact and then kind of like nullifies the gravity and balances it out again, sort of negating the Zushi no Mi. And then that's when Law busts out his Z room, Zed room, and he summons Lord Zed from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's his true awakening, right? But no, you could see an evenly matched battle between those two, and a lot of really cool things you can happen with that, you know what I mean? Also the fact that, you know, Fujitora is blind, Law's a doctor, you could do some stuff with that. We can learn about Fujitora's backstory a little bit. I don't know. Oh, here's an idea. What if, remember that line that Fujitora had when he was like, he met Luffy, and he was like, you know, it's on days like these that I really regret that I blinded myself. What if Law is able to restore Fujitora's sight? What if we do like a Bleach moment between remember when Kaname fought against Shuhei and Komamura, and the whole thing was Kaname went into this hollow form that he could like allow him to see. He was blind his entire life, but now he could see, and that was actually his undoing because he wasn't able to like handle all that extra input, and so Shuhei was able to stab him. Maybe it's something like that where Law is like, I will restore your sight, old man. And then Fujitora's like, I could see again. And then that's when Law takes the opportunity to like, boom, you know, S room or T room or whatever. And it's just eliminated D room for death. And it just stabs him right through. It's like, no, you know, that would be cool, right? I also wrote down Shanks. I don't really think there's really going to be, there's no real connection between Law and Shanks, although I do think that Shanks does have the will of D, just like Roger did, Luffy did. I feel like Shanks has it too, we just don't know his full name, so there would be a connection there, but it's a tenuous connection, you know what I mean? So I just threw him on there because Shanks is also a very smart, tactical fighter kind of guy, and Law is in that same vein, so just seeing them go head-to-head would be really cool. In that case, I would honestly give money on Shanks, not Law, but it would be a really fun fight. That fight would just be really interesting just to see him opening up the room, and then Shanks like, oh, I see, and then maybe he can like, he has like Conqueror's Haki that's so strong, maybe he can like cut Law's room in half or something. Like if anybody could do that shit, it would be well, I guess it would be Luffy, or it would be Shanks. Just Luffy, because he has all his crazy powers now, like with Gear 5th. Like Law could open up his room, Luffy could be like, oh, this is cool, and he physically touches the room and like turns it into like a bouncy ball and like throws it away or something like that. Law's just like, did you just turn my operating room into a damn bouncy beach ball? And Luffy's like, yeah, I did. It was funny, wasn't it? And it's just like, what is this fight? What are you even, right? So, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Law fighting against Kid, Luffy, Isho would be ideal, and then sort of a dark horse would be Shanks in that regard. We'll see where it goes. But, yeah, that's all I wrote down here. We're about 20 minutes in or so. That's appropriate. I think this was a good place to end Law Week. I hope you guys enjoyed. I drank a lot of booblies this entire time. Go get yourself a nice bubbly boobly, you know. Not a sponsor, but they're just really good. Okay. So, when you should be watching this, it should be July 7th. I will still be on vacation, out in California, so hopefully I'll have some other videos, you know, planned before that, and so you could watch that. We did 7 in a row, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go like every other day now or something like that. But yeah, if you just want updates on what I'm doing, probably just follow my Twitter. It's probably where I'll put up most information of like where I'm at or what I'm doing, and, you know, keep up to date with me there. And I'll try my best to film some extra stuff while on the road. But yeah, that was Law Week. If you have any ideas for another one, comment down below on some other Law Week ideas that we haven't discussed already on the channel or in this episode or this edition of Law Week. I don't really feel like we're going to do another one of these. Honestly, we could just do theme weeks in general. So we did a Law Week now. Maybe next year we can do a, I don't know, Drake Week. Diaz Drake, 7 videos about Drake all the time. So anyway, yeah, there's that. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Woo! Room! Aw, I thought talking about law for 7 days would give me his powers. Sad.